just asking a fucking logical question. I mean, are the titties worth $7? Dude fucking came in, said, "Are any titties worth $7 nowadays?" I don't think they are.
It's an existential question for sure.
Yeah, I could see fantastic pairs for free.
That's
just on X, just on Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't really need to pay.
And even Instagram, you know, you're pretty much. So it's not like it was when we were kids, where you'd pay $7 to see some chick's rack.
Wow, what a bargain!
You know what I mean? And Jan's packing an amazing rack where she just it's for the taking.
I mean, you can just see those whenever
just
you
see
want.
Just see them to Jan, pop them out. I'd be okay, good. All right, put it back.
All right, go about your day.
Yeah, okay, go about your day.
Go about your day.
Just checking.
Just checking to make sure they're still there.
All right, yeah, we're fucking around.
We're fucking around.
We're fucking around.
Well, we got on the subject because, as Phantom pointed out, we actually did watch this on YouTube, and if you watch it on YouTube, the nudity is edited out, which we kind of figured.
Yeah, I was like, I thought there was supposed to be nudity in this.
Yeah. It's like he was...
Because there was like a couple of opportunities that
because she's
like that big, you know, it's like, this is it, you know,
boobies.
Nothing happened. I was like, well, maybe later.
Maybe
and
later.
They're teasing.
Maybe they're teasing me.
They're teasing. And then I realized this is YouTube.
Yeah.
They probably cut it.
Because this was made for TV, but it was made for Showtime. And, you know, on Showtime, they can show anything they want to.
Yeah.
So
if you want to have a ghost fucking whopper titties out, you can do that on Showtime.
Well, now, there was something in this, and I don't know, now, because Phantom has seen this version with the nudity and, like, without anything being cut out. So I'm not so much concerned about the titties. I was concerned about the part where...
Ghost goes up his crotch.
Yeah, where, like, that, you knew what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Where, like, the female ghost supposedly, like, because I was like, is he getting, like, a ghost blowjob, like
yes,
Dan Aykroyd got in Ghostbusters?
Yeah.
And it's just, like, they kind of implied that.
Yeah.
And he does kind of, like, very embarrassingly, like, say, and then he has, like a big, like, handprint, like, on his upper thigh.
Oh, if he was embarrassed and he got pegged. He got ghost pegged.
Well, see, that's what I said. I said he got pegged by a
It was going up.
He didn't
the camera was shot going.
Because his wife is standing right there. And
yeah,
she's just like,
must have been. So, baby, I lost my virginity.
My butt virginity. To a ghost. It happens. I mean, you know, happens to the best of us. But yeah, so I wasn't sure if that scene went farther.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it was very, very clearly implied that, like, because the ghost was, like, pulling the blankets off him, and I'm just like, ooh, are we going to see, like, you know.
Phantom says you can get it on DVD for $7.
Yeah.
I don't know if titties are worth $7 nowadays. This is a decent movie, though. It's very much kind of like a long haunting episode.
Yeah.
And it's got a good cast in it.
Got Beau Bridges in there again, who was also in the movie that we discussed last week, which was also based on a real haunting case. Yeah. Although that one was from 1996, and this one is, like, slightly more recent. This was from 2002.
He's like the budget Jeff Bridges, but he can't act. He can act.
Yeah.
And then they got the dude from RoboCop. He's in it, too.
Miguel Ferrer,
Yeah. The dude who played the guy who got RoboCop built.
Yeah.
One that fucking...
That dude's
Clarence Bodner.
I like that dude. He's in
Yeah, yeah. He was also in The Stand.
Yeah, that's right.
He played Flag.
Yeah.
No.
He didn't play Flag. He played
Randall Flagg's fucking right-hand man.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, like, he's been in a ton of shit. Mm-hmm. And this also had, I think her name is Thea Gill. She's been in a ton of shit, but I knew her from Queer as Folk, because I love that show. Like, I haven't seen the British one. Like, I've seen a couple episodes of the British one, but they made an American version, Showtime did, and it was excellent. Like, I kind of wish I had it all on DVD, because I kind of wanted to do a rewatch. But I had a friend that used to tape it for me back in the day, when we still had VCRs. But yeah, so she was in this, too. And, you know, that's probably why she wasn't bothered about doing nudity in this movie. Because she was naked a lot in that one, too. Because that was a very naked show. Queer as Folk was. Everyone was fucking naked in that show. But yeah, so this, I guess... So the show's Sightings, you know, like... Which is kind of like a haunting, paranormal witness, blah, blah, blah. So I guess they decided they were going to make, like, a fictionalized movie based on one of the cases that they had talked about. So I don't know if this is the only time they did that. I mean, I guess it's not that weird, because A Haunting kind of did that too, because they'd made, like, the one about Mr. Gordy and The Haunting in Connecticut.
The first two
like the pilots.
Yeah.
So this
man, you guys told me that they sold those separately, because I have all their shit, and I was like, I don't have the two greatest ones, and they're on their own DVD. I got it now.
Yeah, we got them all now.
The pilots, yeah. The pilots are good.
They are good. And
They're the
like,
best episodes.
they're like movie length.
They're movie length, yeah.
But the thing about this one is that, so this one is made, because I kind of feel like the ones that were a haunting, they were just made as though it was a movie about the case. Whereas this one is made, almost, it's like meta, kind of. Because they're kind of like, well, this is a crew from the TV show Sightings.
Yeah.
And they are going and investigating this house. So I thought that was kind of funny. So
yeah, they're plugging Sightings.
So they're plugging Sightings, like they have all the branding and everything like that. So like I thought that was kind of funny, because but I don't know if they did that again. Like,
yeah, it's a very early 2000s movie, but it's cool. It's like kind of like something from the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s. It reminds me a lot of like second season of fucking The Haunting, which is their best seasons really.
Yeah,
but it was a solid flick.
This one, I kind of feel like, I think I liked the one that we saw last week, the other one with Beau Bridges in it that was also based on a haunted case. I think I liked that one a little bit better just because it was more like movie-like. This one seemed more like an episode of a paranormal TV show, and it was seemed like a little bit disjointed. I kind of feel like if you weren't super familiar with the case, like you would just be like, what the fuck is going on? Because it's like, it wasn't that bad, but it's just kind of like, it did have like a lot of kind of flashbacks, and they didn't really go super into.
I remember the Hauntings version of this case, and
yeah, Paranormal Witness did it too,
and it was not the same. It's different every time they tell it.
Yeah,
it's not the same. Like the way I remembered it, wasn't it like a white guy who was a dentist back in the 1800s, and he had like a black mistress that he couldn't marry, but they had a kid. And that was the ghost. Was the little girl.
When I looked it up, because
that's how I remember.
Now, according to this movie, we're gonna get in this movie the backstory behind the Sallie House, which is a real, it's a lot of paranormal teams have done there. Like I said, it was on A Haunting, it was on Paranormal Witness, it was on all these different shows, and it's in Atchison, Kansas. I don't think anybody lives in the house now, but like a lot of people, still go there, like and talk about the haunting and stuff. But in this movie, the backstory was that the house was built in 18 whatever, and the guy that ran it was a doctor, and that his wife was banging one of the slaves.
Yeah.
And they had a daughter. Well, here's what's weird though, because the daughter, Sallie, some like people see her in the movie, and they're trying to make it seem like she's black, or she's like half black. But it's clearly a little white girl.
Yeah, now the girl's just white as a sheet.
Like, she does not look mixed at all.
Nope.
So it's like, that's really weird. Like, if they were going to lean on that aspect of the story, it's like they should have got an actress.
They couldn't find a little mixed girl.
That looked mixed race. I'm like, that's really stupid. I'm sure you could find somebody. That was very clearly a very white girl.
Yeah.
So, there was even a scene where Beau Bridges, like, where the guy... The husband in the house was like, he drew pictures of the ghost that he saw in his dreams and stuff, and he drew the little girl, and Beau Bridges even says, oh, the shading on there, she looks black. I'm like, she's not. She doesn't look black.
They show her first.
She's a white girl.
White girl, fucking honky pedigree, fucking 9 miles long.
Yeah, she was clearly a white girl. Yeah, so I thought that was very, very odd. Yeah. Like, why wouldn't they get a different actress? Yeah. But the thing about it is that when you look into, like, for example, like on the Wikipedia page about the Sallie House, the story of it, and I think this might have been what they talked about on A Haunting too. It's still true that there was supposedly the dude that ran the place or had it built was a doctor, and supposedly had a surgery like on the first floor. But the story there was that the little girl wasn't his daughter or wasn't his wife's daughter, like with somebody she was fucking around with. It was actually just a little girl that came to him sick. And he tried to do surgery on her, and he fucked it up, and she died. But that there's no proof of that. Like, they don't know anybody. Like they can't find any records.
I think
of anybody
Hauntings telling the story was different.
That's what I mean.
It
so
was a
like,
white guy with a black mistress who worked for him, and they were running
I thought so too.
And that they had a mixed race child, and the ghost of the child was in there.
Yeah, which is kind of what
it is, but not
this
really.
one. But actually, this one, it was the wife.
Yeah, the wife
that was fucking around
had a baby out of wedlock.
Had a baby with
biracial baby out of wedlock.
With one of the slaves that was working, that was working out the house.
It made it more spicy.
I guess so. Yeah.
Were they killed because of that? They never really did say, did they?
No, well, what happened in this movie was that the dad dragged the little girl out and left her out in the snow.
Yeah, at the age of 9.
Or something like that.
That's ridiculous.
And like, so she, and you're presuming that she like froze to death or something like that. Like they didn't show that happening.
And the kid is not a baby. It's a grown kid, probably 8.
Yeah, she looked about 8 or 9.
Yeah, so you're gonna wait till she gets to be 8 years old before you kill her because it's somebody else's baby. It kind of didn't really make much sense.
Because he's like, it's not mine.
And it's obviously the little white girl. Yeah, it's just weird.
It was very weird. I think it would
have
have made a lot more sense if they had had a different actress playing Sallie.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, well, what are they talking about? That looks like a little white girl. I don't really understand like why.
That doesn't make sense because
why everybody keeps saying she looks mixed race.
If the husband was upset about that, he would have killed the kid at birth.
Yeah, you'd think.
Why'd you
maybe he did. Well, that's what I mean. He didn't suspect anything, so it's like the fact that he didn't suspect anything.
Yeah.
For 8 years or something. Because, well, see, that was another thing that didn't make a lot of sense either. Because there was a scene where he caught the wife and her lover in the bedroom, and then he says, "Oh, the kid's not mine." But I'm like, well, wait, the kid is like you said, like 8 or 9. Like this has not been going on that long.
Yeah.
Like because they just built the house and the kid was already kind of grown when they got there. It's like, so that's your kid. Like calm down.
The kid's mixed race. It's usually obvious. I mean, there's a few. I've seen some few examples. They had this black chick who has 2 kids with a white guy, and those kids look fucking straight up Caucasian. I mean,
it does happen.
And she says like, they always ask me if am I the babysitter? Says no, these are my kids.
Yeah.
And because she doesn't look related to them, but that's extremely rare though.
Yeah. Yeah, it does happen, but it's unusual.
You could kind of see a resemblance, but not color-wise. You know what I mean? In the faces, you could kind of see a little bit, but they're blonde, blue eyes, fucking rosy cheeks and shit. Yeah. They look really white. Just happens. They had twins. Remember that? It's over in Europe.
Yeah.
Biracial twins. 2 girls born. Same time. They're identical twins, evidently. One of them's white and one of them's black.
Yeah. Like I said, it does happen.
Yeah. And they kind of look alike, but they look like they're different races. It's weird.
Right.
Yeah, and they just said it's just an odd thing that happened with twins, and they're identical twins.
Yeah.
But they're not identical in that one. It's an oddity. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just an oddity.
Tammy says Miguel Ferrer is George Clooney's cousin. I didn't know that actually. Yeah, Burley didn't know that either. Holy crap, really, Tammy? Yeah, I didn't know that. Phantom said Beau Bridges is good at playing a skeptic. Yeah, Beau Bridges, he plays a dude named Derek, who I guess he's kind of like the token skeptic or like the head of the team. So every time they go to investigate one of these haunting cases, like he's the guy that's going to be there and is going to like shit all over it, right? You know what I mean? And like try to debunk it, which, you do need to have one of those. But he's pretty smug in this one.
This is the second Beau Bridges movie I'm aware of seeing. Maybe he was in some other movies I just didn't recognize him. But he's pretty good. He's good at it. He's good.
His eyebrows were weirding me out a little bit in this. They were kind of strange, like what was going on with his eyebrows. But so because he's like kind of the head of the team, I guess. And then then he has this woman who she's like a believer, and then they have like this young guy who's like a cameraman, and he seems to like not really care one way or the other. It's just like a job. And then they bring in Miguel Ferrer's character, who's like a psychic. And then later on, they bring in this other woman who's like a data analyst type of person. But the thing about it is that it kind of follows what I remember. It's been a while since we saw the Sallie House episode of A Haunting. I know we reviewed it like a long, long time ago. Like we talked about it. And I'm sure I've seen the Paranormal Witness one too. But I don't really remember much about that one. The main thing that I remembered about that, which they do go into in this movie, is one of the first things they notice is that they go into the baby's room because they have like a little, he's not even a toddler really. He's just like maybe 1 year old or something. And when they go in his room, like all his little teddy bears and like stuffed animals are like sitting in a circle. Yeah. Like, and they keep putting them away, and then they come back and like they're
I remember that
they're sitting there again.
I remember that one in the haunting version of the story. They used the teddy bear in a circle fucking thing. I think even even in Paranormal Witness, I think they used.
Yeah, because that would be fucking freaky if like
right.
you kept walking in the room and like little teddy bears having a meeting.
That's real common poltergeist stuff, you know. But
yeah,
we used to see shit like that. Fucking Mammoth Mountain over at Lois's places. Matchbox cars put in a pattern, and then the next time you see them, they're fucking scattered out. Weird shit like that.
Yeah, so it seemed
stacking pillows on top of each other.
It seemed like that was the main thing that they saw at first, and like the movie tries to make you, you know, it tries to say, oh, there's something in the house, like before they really realize it, because they have that ghost POV cam where everything's kind of distorted and green. Like, hey, the ghost is watching.
Toys are moving in the screen, but then the people don't see it.
I actually liked that because there was one scene where everybody was in there and they were kind of talking to each other, and then there was just this one little toy, like a little truck or something.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of going like that, like on the table, but nobody saw it.
Yeah.
And I was like, that was a nice touch, I thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they kept seeing like these little fucking teddy bears in the circle in the nursery, and they were just like, huh, that's weird. And you know, the wife thinks the husband's doing it, the husband thinks the wife is doing it, and it's this whole thing. And then they have some friends over. And there's this other toy. It's like a little stuffed duck. And the duck, like while they're all sitting there, like basically like kind of levitates and like throws itself at like their friend, that's like this male friend that they have. And it just like whacks him. And it kind of hurts him too. I don't know how it did because it was just like a soft stuffed animal. But I guess maybe it hit him in the eye or something. And they all saw that. And so they're just kind of like, okay, well, we all saw that. But like after a while... Because at first, obviously, they're just sitting there thinking, well, you know, there's nothing going on. Because, you know, they bought this house. They were going to flip it. Like, it's, you know, it was an old house. It needed a lot of work. And I guess the husband did construction. And, you know, so he works at some job site or something like that. But then, like, you know, they're kind of working on the house, too. So they're going to sell it, like, for a profit is what their goal is. But... when all this weird shit starts happening, you know, obviously, like on a lot of episodes of Haunting, like they can't afford to move and all this other kind of shit. And of course, the husband doesn't. It's not that he doesn't believe it, because he does see some of the shit happen, but it's just he doesn't really want to deal with it because he's just kind of like, look, we can't afford to move, and I just don't have the bandwidth to like deal with this right now. And so when the wife calls in, like she writes to or calls the Sightings people and wants them to come out and help them because she thinks, you know, something's going on in the house. And he gets kind of mad about it. But as time goes on, it seems like the ghost is targeting him, you know?
Yeah.
Because at first he just has dreams. Like, he's having these dreams about, like, this woman that stands at the end of the bed and, like, takes her top off. And, so he keeps having dreams like that about stuff that happened in the past, you know what I mean? About Sally's mom and all this other shit. And he starts drawing the people that he sees in the dreams, but he doesn't really think too much about it. But then, like, as time goes on, he actually does see... the little girl. Like, he's in the kitchen one night and he sees, which I think happened in the Haunting episode too, where he's just like getting some out of the fridge and then like he closes it and there's a little girl's just standing there.
Yeah.
And at that point he's just like, oh well shit, I guess there is something weird going on in the house. But the thing about it is, like I said, if you go on the Wikipedia page about the Sallie House, they actually, there's two kind of schools of thought about either the house is haunted by an actual little girl named Sally, or the thing that calls itself Sally is actually like a demon or something like that. It's just pretending to be a little girl, because you know how a haunting does. Like they're like, well, it's not really a little girl. It's actually a horrible demonic force, like pretending to be a little girl.
Fan said that at one point the little girl flashes out, winks out, and she's black for a second, and then she comes back white.
I did not notice that.
Yeah. I did kind of notice some flicker type stuff during certain scenes, but they were just, I didn't know what it was they were showing me.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure.
Yeah.
Maybe that was, I don't know, maybe that was like the dude's dream, like trying to tell him that that's what the
it's
history
still
of the
kind
house
of
was.
odd the way they did it. I think they should maybe the little girl, the actress that played the little girl is related to somebody, and they wanted her on the show. Might have just been that simple.
Or maybe they figured, well, we need a little girl that looks like a white girl, because then like no one would twig onto the fact that
maybe.
It's like, because obviously if it looked like a little mixed race girl, then like everybody would be like, oh, well, obviously.
Right.
You know what I mean? The wife was fucking around or something like that. So, or the husband was. But yeah, so that's the thing. I don't know. It was just kind of strange.
No, the husband can't give birth.
Well, yeah, that's right. So I'm just like, yeah, because I think on the other thing, he had a black mistress.
Yeah,
that had a kid.
In the original story I heard, it was a white guy with the black mistress. He couldn't marry her because of the laws. They worked together and lived together as man and wife, but nobody really knew. And they had a kid. And nobody knew that they were married, though. And nobody knew that was his kid.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it was his kid secretly.
Yeah.
And then something happened to him, and then there was I don't remember exactly what had happened in the original story. But the little girl's ghost was in there, and I think a couple other ghosts were in there. That was in the haunting version of it.
Yeah, because I thought that in this one, they kind of focused mainly on the little girl ghost, and I'm assuming the dad ghost was still around.
Yeah.
And, like, he was kind of a jerk because it's implied that he left the little girl out to freeze to death.
Yeah.
I thought, didn't he, like, chuck her out on the porch in the snow or something like that?
Yeah, that wasn't in the original story that I heard.
No, like I said, I think in the original Sallie House lore, I don't even think that kid was related to them. I think it was just like a kid that came there and he botched it and she died. And she hung around and was mad.
What tends to happen in all these paranormal cases is that some phenomenon happens. Then paranormal investigators and psychics get involved. The psychics cook up a story to explain what people have seen. And a lot of times other psychics will come after that and add to the lore, different psychic.
Yeah.
And then the next thing you know, you got 5 different stories about the place. And they all contradict.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of bullshit, really.
Yeah, because I don't really know. Like, the whole Sallie House, I think that some people have accused the mayor of Atchison, Kansas, of making up some of the stories, like to get some tourist dollars and to get like some paranormal interest and stuff. Because,
if you ask me, psychics on the case are a fucking waste of time. They're just going to make up shit. If paranormal phenomena is happening, just try to record and document the phenomena. Just leave it at that. Don't try to fucking find out why. You're never going to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean,
saw a poltergeist. I never know why. It didn't really have a meaning. It just did shit. You know?
Yeah.
And shit, if you'd had a person who claimed to be a psychic in there, they would have made up a whole fucking story about, oh, well, this is an ancient dragon. You know, or some stupid shit like that, you know. Yeah, somebody died here a long time ago, and now they're mad at you because you came in the house and you didn't take your shoes off. You stupid shit.
Well, it's always a lot more interesting. You know, humans are storytelling animals. So it's like we always like to have some kind of like narrative that we can grasp onto.
Yeah.
But it's like a lot of times, if indeed some of this paranormal stuff does exist, it probably doesn't have like a coherent backstory.
No, in my experience, you show up, you feel like you're being watched, fucking objects get moved and thrown around kind of at random, stacking shit up, showing you stuff, fucking with you, and there's never any explanation. And it just stops doing it.
Yeah. I mean, it would be pretty weird if, you know, theoretically, if you moved into a house and you didn't know anything about it, and you actually did see some kind of apparition or something like that, be like, I wonder about that. And then, like, you go to the library and found it, and that's the dude that, like, used to live in the house or something like that. Like, that would be some proof that something was going on, I guess, if you didn't know anything about it beforehand. Yeah. So I guess that's, like, what they're trying to do. But I don't know. Like, I feel like, as far as I know, there isn't really any record of any little girl named Sallie, like, dying in that house or anything like that. But it's kind of just become known as the Sallie House. And interestingly, on the Wikipedia page, this house Sallie is known as the man-hating ghost because every time there's a dude living in the house, like, she fucks with that, or whoever the ghost is. Which actually does happen in this movie, too, because, like I said, at first, it seems like the little boy, like the baby, is kind of not necessarily the target, but they do kind of show like the ghost hanging out in the room and the baby like seeing the ghost when no one else can see it, and all the toys getting rearranged and all that kind of stuff. But then as time goes on, the husband becomes the focus of it. Like he starts having all these dreams, and then he starts seeing apparitions, and then he starts getting like cuts on him. So the ghost, whatever it is, like starts attacking him directly. And at one point, they never do clarify who that ghost was that sexually assaulted him. Like, was it the wife? Like, why would she do that?
It was a different actress.
That was a different actress. That wasn't the same woman.
Yeah.
I don't think, because the woman that, was taking her shirt off and everything like that, who you're led to assume is the one that was like touching his wiener.
Yeah.
She had like dark hair.
Yeah.
And the woman that was the wife,
she was kind of stacked, and then the wife was skinny.
And the wife was kind of skinny, and she was kind of more blonde.
That's how I remember it. Yeah.
So I'm not really sure. Did they specify who that woman was? Now I can't even remember. I was paying attention, but
like you said, the story's kind of disjointed.
A little bit.
It goes down a couple different paths and never really resolves anything.
But I guess that's,
that's just the way they wanted to describe the case, I guess. That the case fucking had a couple different theories, and they saw different things. They weren't quite sure what it was.
Because they did have, like, they had, like, all the Sightings crew, and they come in there and set up all the equipment, and they have, like, all the temperature measuring shit and all that other kind of stuff. So they do, like, at least in the context of the movie, they do actually, like, get some data, like, showing that they have the husband, like, sit in a chair with little EKG shit on him and everything like that. And it's just, like, it shows that there's, like, cold temperatures around him, like a ghost or something. And then, like, his heart rate speeds up a lot. And then they see, like, lights flickering, candles coming on by themselves, shit moving around, like, dishes rattling in the kitchen and stuff like that. So it's, like, they seem like they get a lot of that. But I don't really know... Because it seems like Miguel Ferrer, he plays what was his character's name? I think it was Alan. And he plays, like, the psychic. So he comes in and he seems to know, like, he talks to the little girl, like Sallie. But he doesn't really seem to know, like, that much of the situation of what's going on. It seems like most of the situation is clarified through the husband having these dreams about the wife, like, having sex with the slave, and perhaps, like, giving birth to the kid, and then the husband doing something about it. But like I said, now that I'm thinking about it, I guess I wasn't thinking about this when I was watching it, but now I'm thinking about it. It's like, who was that woman that was touching the dude's peen?
Phantom said there's 3 of them.
There's 3 spirits in the house, an evil one, Sallie, and the wife. But see, I think that, like, the woman, that's what I'm saying, because the woman that was standing at the end of the bed and was molesting the husband.
I guess she was going to get ready to open her blouse.
Yeah, that was going like that. I don't think that didn't look like the same actress to me. Yeah. Like, her hair was much darker. And like you said, I think her boobs were bigger.
Yeah, the way I remember it.
So I'm not really sure who that was. Now I'm kind of mystified. Now I'm going to have to watch it again and see what the fuck's going on. You know what I mean?
Got to get the uncensored version.
Yeah, because like I said...
It makes more sense.
I was kind of... Well, yeah.
It makes more sense with boobs in it. Oh, it makes perfect sense now.
I'm going to make you a t-shirt that says that. Maybe it makes more sense with boobs in it.
Yeah.
Everything makes more sense with boobs in it.
Yeah.
But like I said, I was kind of, it is always disappointing when you think you're going to see boobs and then you don't get to see the boobs.
Yeah. Well, think of some of those fucking B-movie fucking, that we've seen, especially the shit from the 80s and the 70s. If you edited the boobs out of those movies would not make any fucking sense. Like the women's prisons movies and fucking, you know what I mean? This weird sign. Without the boobs, you would be no reason to watch a movie.
Yeah, I mean, the whole reason that you watch a lot of those B movies is tits and or gore.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you don't have tits or gore,
why are you watching this thing? Yeah.
Then there's really not much point in watching it, to be honest with you. You know what I mean?
And the best of them all ran Galaxy of Terror, and it gave you tits and women having sex with a giant fucking caterpillar.
Which you probably never thought you wanted to see, but you did want to see.
Yeah.
It was super slimy.
We'd stay up all night waiting for that scene. Yeah.
Well, you got to
13,
admire, because
14,
they were
like,
just kind of like, hey, man, like, we don't have enough money to, like, make fucking Alien.
Yeah.
But we're going to put some shit that they would never put in Alien.
Right.
We're going to put a naked woman getting raped by a huge, giant, slimy caterpillar.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of like...
It looked more like one of those potato bugs.
It did kind of. Except
not a potato bug. What do they call it thing? Sphinx moth. Fucking... that big green...
I don't know. It was like, a big caterpillar. Like that.
With the
or
red horn on
or
it.
Something.
Yeah, so it looked like.
It's pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
But, that's someone's fetish, obviously. Or they wouldn't have put it in the movie.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Where tentacle porn came from.
Probably. But yeah,
hentai.
I mean, the first time that I saw that, I was like, holy shit, they went there.
Yeah.
Okay, Roger Corman. I respect your game.
Yeah, hentai.
But so, well, see, that's what made me curious, is that when we were watching this movie on YouTube, like I said, it's, the tits not being shown, I was just kind of like, okay, they're not showing the tits. Yeah. But then when they had the scene toward the end where he was getting clearly kind of quasi-molested by the ghost, they didn't show... Like I said, it wasn't like the scene in Ghostbusters with Dan Aykroyd where, like, the ghost is, like, hovering above him and he's, like, unzipping his pants and stuff. It wasn't like that. Because you couldn't see her. Yeah. Like, you saw her for a minute, but then, like, she was invisible, and then, like, just the sheet started coming down, and you didn't get to see any of his anatomy or nothing, but it's just kind of like, the next day, he was, like, really embarrassed and, like, telling them what had happened. Yeah. So I wondered how far they went with that. Because you know how they do, like, even on Showtime and shit, well, not so much Showtime, because, like I said, they had Queer as Folk, which one of the actresses in this was in. And man, that had some pretty explicit. That had some very explicit gay humping going on. So it was great, but it was almost porn, almost. But so I wondered if, because they'll show tits all day long, but when it comes time to like show a penis, they're always like a little gun shy about it.
It's genitalia.
So I kind of wonder. I'm like, I bet they didn't even show any of this. You know what I mean? Because it's just like they kind of...
I think the show that it has to be kind of X-rated. You can't get an R rating.
That's what's so funny to me. It's just
under
certain
like, circumstances.
Well, see, I thought... It doesn't
make the... they do have, full frontal male nudity in some things, but if it's not a sexual situation,
I always thought that the distinction was that...
Whether he's erect or not.
I thought as long as it was just like... It was flaccid, then you were okay.
Right.
But people are still going to flip out about it, which is ridiculous. But I'm like, like I said, they'll show naked women all day long and nobody gets upset about it. But man, they show a dick and everybody's like, oh, like, everybody flips out. But I don't get it. But so that's why I was curious. Like, I didn't know if they, because he kind of described what happened, sort of. Yeah. But you know what I mean? It's not like, what was that case where, was it the Smurl case where they said they got butthorked by a pig monster or something? That wasn't the Smurl case, was it?
That was.
It was one of those crazy haunting cases.
That was the fucking the haunting with the kid in the.
Oh, with the Snedekers.
The Snedekers, yeah, Snedekers.
Yeah, they left that out of the Paranormal Witness show.
Yeah, said they were running down the street, fucking getting fucking butthorked by invisible spirits.
And was it a pig? Wasn't it a two-legged pig?
I think she said it was invisible. That one. I think when they were running down the street, she said you couldn't see it. And the dude said that happened to him too.
Like,
that was a wild fucking case. They said that shit on Geraldo.
Yeah. Because I'm like, look, sexual assault isn't funny, but that is a very funny mental image.
Yeah, Miss Snedeker was fucking pissed when people were
running down the street, like, and having invisible pig monsters or invisible ghosts, like.
Yeah.
You could probably get in your booty hole.
They probably have it on YouTube, probably old reruns of that.
I mean, they should have known how that was going to come across.
Yeah, and she goes, oh, you think it's funny? It's not funny to be running down a street and be sexually assaulted anally by something invisible. And they're like, that happened to you? And fucking the audience was like, huh? And the guy says, yeah, it happened to me too. We were running.
Yeah.
And he says, what was that like? He says, you could feel something. Just...
I need details. I need more details than that. You could feel something. That doesn't mean anything.
Some of the shit the Snedekers said, man, fucking scared me. Because, I had my own poltergeist experience with my family and shit. And some of the shit that they said at the time really kind of rang true. Yeah. They said that fucking... She said she was protecting her niece, or I think, who was in bed, and something was grabbing her underneath the fucking sheets, and she saw its hand underneath the sheet, saw the knuckles on it and everything. Reached up and grabbed
that's
her.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think she said it vanished. And I was just like, ooh. I could imagine that poltergeist doing something like that.
I mean, if that really happened to you, that would be fucking terrifying.
Yeah. She said it was grabbing her fucking breast.
Yeah, like that would be fucking horrifying.
She was screaming. She said she couldn't stop it.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't.
Well, yeah, it's like a fucking ghost.
There's no way
thing.
she could stop it. And it, yeah, it was weird. And there was another case they talked about on, I think that was either I think it might have been Sally, Jesse, Raphael. And that one spooked me too. It was a paranormal investigator who was investigating this case where this dude and like 6 women were all living in the same kind of house or apartment, what it was. They were all pretty young. It was like him, his wife, and like her sisters or something. And they kept waking up seeing a dude kneeling at the foot of the bed, fucking just jerking the shit out of it, looking at him, and then he would vanish. They kept, or they would see him. They'd be in the shower. They could fucking hear him fucking jerking it, fucking outside the shower stall, and they identified him out of a lineup that they put, and it was the old supervisor of the hotel.
That's right. I remember you telling me this story.
What's that?
I remember you telling me this story.
The old supervisor of the or it was the old supervisor of the apartment complex who had died, and they said that he was the creep.
Well, obviously.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
He said he was a creep when he was alive.
Being that much of a pervert that even after you die, like all you can think to do is just hang around on the earthly plane and jerk it to living people.
Yeah.
Wow, dude.
From what I remember, it's been a long time, man.
Something.
The last time I must have been about 17 when the last time I heard. She said she heard some grunting and shit and some fapping. I think it was light. I don't think it was fucking nighttime. I think it was in the morning or something. And she looked at the fucking foot of the bed, and he was down there fucking just going to town. And she made eye contact with him, and he got startled and vanished.
He's like, "Oh shit, you can see
he caught me.
I thought I was invisible."
Yeah. It's wild shit, man. I don't know if it's true. I don't know the rest of the case.
Can you imagine? I don't know what I would do if I woke up.
I just remember that particular. That may have been the Snedeker case, but I don't think it was.
No, I don't remember that because we've done a couple shows about the Snedeker case.
Yeah.
Like, I think we did a show about that haunting episode, and we might have also done, like, a separate show about the case itself. Or, I don't know, we might have combined those two things.
I believed it at the time because those girls were all on there, man. They all looked stunned, and they didn't say much. And they all said they hadn't slept in weeks.
Yeah.
Because they kept fucking with them while they were sleeping.
Well, yeah, like I said,
pulling the covers off of them.
That would keep you awake all the time,
Yeah.
like I said, pulling your covers off and touching your boobs and jerking it next to your bed, and all you can hear is like fucking fapping, like while you're trying to sleep.
That ghostly fapping. Yeah.
Like I said, can you imagine spending your whole entire afterlife just like jerking at your hole?
Yeah, ghostly fapping.
Ghostly fapping.
It's some wild shit.
It is.
But I could picture somebody saying, "Fuck it, I'm not going into the next world. I'm gonna stay right here in this fucking."
I'm enjoying myself.
Yeah, he's just all perved out. You know what I mean? I'm gonna watch these fucking chicks, man.
He's like, "Ooh, now they can't see me."
Yeah, I wish I could touch it. You know. Yeah.
That's what you're gonna do after you die.
No. I think a normal person doesn't have any interest in that.
Well, that's what made me laugh about it, because I'm just like, you'd think that if any of that shit exists, like, you'd think that it's like, woo, I can go to the light and I'm free and all this other kind of stuff. Why would you want to hang out like...
I've had out-of-body experiences, and there wasn't any kind of like an earthly desires or anything like hunger or you know, sex drive or anything. There wasn't any of that interest there. It was a lot more liberating than that.
Yeah.
But some dudes might be at a certain wavelength where that's all they are.
Yeah, maybe so. Like, maybe that was that dude's whole reason for existing.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just like he just really enjoyed jerking it.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't want to stop.
Might be his version of kind of like hell in a way.
Oh, yeah, it could be that too. Mm-hmm. It could be that too. Samantha says the Sallie House case started on Sightings. They never said where it was or who the family was. Not till years later did we get more info. My Ghost Story, some other shows. Yeah, like I said, they know where it is now. It's in Atchison, Kansas. And they do mention in this movie, I don't think they say the name of the town. No, I think they call the town High River, Kansas. But it's still in Kansas, but it's actually in Atchison, Kansas. But yeah, we know this case. I never watched Sightings. I don't think I've ever seen it. But we knew this case. We saw it on A Haunting. It was season 1 or season 2. And they did it on Paranormal Witness. And a couple of other shows too. Like I said, this is probably one of the most famous like hauntings in the U.S. So it's been like on a whole bunch of different shows. But they kind of changed the story up a little bit. Like I said, most of them have the thing with the little girl ghost. Most of them have something to do with some kind of slave or the girl dying in the house, whether she's related to the people. Most of them have the dude that owned the house being a doctor of some kind. And most of them have the thing with the stuffed animals and the thing with men being attacked in the house by whatever the ghost. But some of the other details are changed. Phantom says the YouTube version cut the nude scenes down a lot, which was lame, because in the beginning, the husband gets burned by candle wax, but they don't show it because the wife was topless. Yeah, because there was definitely, like, toward the beginning of the film, there was definitely kind of like a sex scene between the husband and the wife that looked like it was going someplace, and then it just kind of... So at that point, we were just kind of like, oh, it's YouTube, so they probably cut all the stuff out. Because when you were saying, it's like, oh, it's got all this nudity in it, and I was like, well, wait, if it was made for TV, it wouldn't have nudity. But then it was like, it's made for Showtime, so I was like, okay, well, they can have nudity. But yeah, so if you watch it on YouTube, they've cut a lot of it out, evidently. And then Phantom said it wasn't...
You can probably get this used for $1.
I would imagine, probably somewhere.
On eBay.
Phantom said, wasn't the pig seen during Amityville case or just the movie? Yeah, the pig thing...
it was reported in the...
It was reported, but it's been reported in other things, too.
The pig was Jody.
Jody.
And that was a little girl said she saw Jody, and Jody she was a pig.
Didn't the pig walk on 2 legs?
Yeah, it walked on 2 legs.
Like
and she played with it and stuff. And then they showed it in the movie. They showed it kind of like an outline of it, red outline of it. Looking. The thing is that entire case was fabricated. The entire case is fake.
Yeah, they just made all that up.
Yeah.
We did a show about Amityville like a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I think the whole thing was made up.
The DeFeo murders were real.
Well, yeah, obviously that really happened.
That was the Amityville horror. It's just the DeFeo murders.
Yeah, that dude just came in and blew his whole fucking family away.
Yeah, but the Lutzes and their lawyer cooked up this. They admitted that they cooked this. Well, I think it was the lawyer that admitted that they cooked. That they said, look, if you go in there and fucking buy that house, and then just fucking run off from it, get it back up on the market, we'll be able to write a book about it. You make all kinds of money. And in those days, he was right.
Yeah, that book was a huge bestseller.
Yeah, you couldn't do that today.
No, there's just too much
Too much competition.
There's too much competition. But back then, there really wasn't. I mean, when Jay Anson wrote that book, like, that was a huge bestseller.
Yeah, and it had the Warrens in it, which they were notorious for making shit up. They were on some real cases, but if they were on a bad case, they'd just make up shit. Every fucking Warren case is over the top. Because Ed was going to make sure it was. You know, they had product to sell, and they like to tour around.
Yeah, man, they're going to bring in demons and werewolves. And
demons, werewolves. Okay. He said he killed a werewolf, if I remember correctly, right? He fought a werewolf or killed a werewolf.
Yeah.
He was a fucking nut.
I fought a werewolf with my bare hands.
He just liked to tell stories and make money. He wasn't a fool.
Well, it worked.
Yeah.
And they're still making movies about this motherfuckers.
They had a teenage girlfriend and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, we should do a whole show about that fucking weird ass
situation. We did.
We did do a couple shows about the Warrens.
Yeah.
But I'm not kink shaming, I'm not judging or anything like that. It's just funny to me how the hypocrisy is what's funny to me. Like, they kind of present this perfect, upright, like, religious kind of, and then they're doing all this.
I don't think it was hypocrisy. Shit. I think it was show business.
Yeah, well,
more than anything else. I think they just had that appearance. But Ed, you can tell Ed's a fucking thug, and he likes to drink.
Yeah,
and he looks like a boob grabber to me. That's a dude that would grab your boobs,
big time, and your ass,
and your ass, and your boobs,
and
and
he's probably been slapped many, many times.
Yeah. Yeah, and evidently him and Lorraine had a little fucking girlfriend that lived with him for a while. What was she, 16, 17 or something?
Something like that.
Which that was the age of consent probably, but you can't take pictures of them. That would be child pornography. You can't. If you're a teacher, you can't have a relationship. Well, there's just shit like that. But people think that you have to be 18. But no, each state has different age of consent laws. Most states are 16.
Yeah.
Especially back then.
Well, yeah.
In the 70s?
I mean, like I said, there are extenuating circumstances. Like you said, if it's like a power dynamic kind of thing where it's like a teacher-student,
police, and
or like a boss and
yeah.
a subordinate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You can't do it.
You can't do that, obviously.
There was a time back in the 70s, age of consent, I think, was 13 or 14. I think the age of consent was 14. You could get married at 13 with parents' consent. And that was in the 70s.
You might still be able to in some states.
Yeah.
It wouldn't shock me.
Yeah. The thing is that law had been on the books since the fucking 1800s, 1700s. It's fucking ancient laws. Just they didn't bother to change them. Was it customary in Mississippi to marry 13-year-old girls? No. Not even in my grandparents' time. But you still had that on the... It was still legal, though. But people didn't do it.
Yeah, I didn't know anybody who that. I mean, my grandparents were...
Yeah.
I mean, there was a 10-year age gap, but my grandmother was like in her... She was early 20s, I think, when she got married.
What was his name? Jerry Lee Lewis? Fucking... He was the big...
No, he married his 13-year-old cousin.
Yeah. Married his 13-year-old first cousin. Mm-hmm. I don't think that was Mississippi. It was somewhere in the South. That might have been Tennessee or Kentucky.
I think it was Tennessee.
Tennessee or Kentucky, yeah.
I think.
And that was, 50s.
Yeah.
And it was legal.
Although when he went to the UK, they had a huge fucking... Yeah. They were like, yeah, nah.
Yeah, it was legal.
Didn't they kick him out?
It was legal to do that. It wasn't moral, though. People would have looked at that shit sideways even in our grandparents' times.
Just because something is technically you're allowed to, that doesn't mean you fucking should.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of things are technically legal, but it's like, you shouldn't do them.
In Mississippi, you can marry your second cousin, but you can't marry your first cousin.
I mean, marrying a second cousin, it's still a little weird, but it's not as weird.
You're not really related to him.
You're not super, super related.
No, you're actually not related to him, because usually what it is it's by marriage.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't find
there's usually no blood relation. No blood relation.
So I don't find that quite as weird.
They call them kissing cousins.
Yeah.
You could date them.
Yeah, I don't find that quite as weird.
Yeah.
Like first cousins, that's weird.
It's weirder, yeah.
But second cousins, meh.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think that's distant enough that you're probably safe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just that. Somebody, Victor says the Sallie House was such bullshit. Yeah, I kind of feel like a lot of these haunting cases, especially the super famous ones,
the cases are contaminated.
Yeah, I think a lot of them are super exaggerated. Even if something weird did happen in the case, like initially,
you'll never find out.
I think over time, like more details get added on, more paranormal investigators and psychics and blah blah get involved and add shit onto it, and that all becomes part of the lore,
right.
And so it just keeps like snowballing, and then it gets on all these TV shows. And the Sallie House too has been on so many TV shows.
Yeah. That's why I believe that you can't go with any of these stories that psychics say. It's not admissible. The only thing that you can do is record and document the phenomenon that was witnessed and the witness testimonies of what they saw. Was it an apparition? Did they see something move? When was this? Where was it? And you can't deviate from that. You can't go back and go, oh yeah, by the way, not only did it move, it spoke to me. You can't say that 2 years later.
Right.
A lot of that shit happens in fucking UFO cases. Well, I didn't want to tell you, but actually, the aliens did talk to me, 20 years ago, but I didn't say anything. Nah, you didn't say anything back then.
And then, like, 10 years later, they're like, oh, and they also stuck something on my body.
Yeah. Oh, by the way.
And impregnated me.
Then they gave me a code.
Yeah.
Because that's what they did with the fucking Rendlesham Forest case. Some of those guys the longer they were out there on the circuits giving speeches, the more they added to their fucking story. Not all of them. Colonel Holt, his story remained consistent, but some of his dudes, they just added more and more shit.
Well, the thing about it, especially whether it's UFO case, any kind of paranormal anything. Like, if you come out with it, and I'm not saying weird shit doesn't happen. We've had weird shit happen at our house and stuff like that. But it's just kind of like, if, for example, you come out and say, hey, I had this XYZ like weird thing happen in my house, and no one pays attention. Now, if some people want to sell some books or be on TV or something like that, you're going to like embellish a little bit. You're going to embroider.
Well, you're going to have a story behind it.
You have to have a story behind it because, like I said, humans want a narrative to latch onto because that's just how human brains work. Yeah. So it's like if there's just a bunch of random shit that doesn't seem to mean anything, then it's not really going to resonate with people. So I think the reason that the Sallie House haunting resonates so much is because there's an identifiable ghost. There's a backstory, even though the backstory kind of changes from show to show, and it's different in this movie than it was on the paranormal shows that I've seen about this, but it's kind of along the same lines. But like, so these are identifiable ghosts of people that supposedly really did live in this house. You know what I mean? So there's like a story behind it.
That was the same with Amityville Horror. Amityville Horror had a narrative, and people remember that story. Even though if you go back and fucking read the witness testimony of Ed and Lorraine Warren and some of the other people that lived there, actually some of the shit that they saw or said that they saw was a lot cooler than the narrative that they had in the movie.
Right.
Like I think it was Lorraine said she saw 3 chanting figures fucking coming at her in the hallway. They were chanting just evil chants. They were in robes. That was pretty weird. Fucking then they vanished.
It was Enigma.
Yeah, it was like Enigma.
Doing that sod song.
Yeah.
What was that called? Sadness Part 1 or whatever?
Yeah. Sadness. I think, wasn't it? Yeah.
Well, sod like Marquis de Sade.
Yeah.
They spelled it like...
Yeah.
That was a good song.
Principles of Lust.
That was a good song, actually.
Yeah.
But it's like, every time you hear about monks chanting, I was thinking fucking Enigma. You know what's funny, though? Here's a fun fact about this movie. Is that this movie was directed by, I think he's an Australian dude named Brian Trenchard Smith, and I knew that name sounded familiar. The reason it sounded familiar was because this is the same guy, one of Quentin Tarantino's favorite directors, by the way. He directed BMX Bandits, which I believe was Nicole Kidman's first movie when she was a kid. He also directed Dead End Drive-In, which we reviewed not too long ago. And he also directed Leprechaun 3 and Leprechaun 4 in Space.
Leprechauns. I remember Leprechaun.
I was just actually on...
That was a low-budget flick right there.
On the Shudder show, History's Greatest, one of the last episodes was Horror in Space, and they did actually mention Leprechaun 4 in Space out there, but they didn't mention this guy's name.
Fucking Leprechaun.
So, yeah, so this... Okay, so this movie ended... Because Beau Bridges... I feel like the overarching narrative behind this story, other than all the haunting shit that was going on, was kind of getting Beau Bridges, who was like the skeptical character, to a place where he actually believed in something, right?
Yeah.
Because that was kind of the thing that he would argue with like the other women on the show about. So I think the original family, they ended up moving out, right? Because they're like, yeah, fuck this place. And then after they left, Beau Bridges decides to go back into the house to see if they were faking shit. Because the whole time he thought they were faking shit.
Yeah.
Even past the point where they couldn't be faking anything in the context of the movie. And so he goes back in with the other woman, and then he actually does see, I don't think he sees the apparition, but he sees like the candles come on by themselves, and like he hears the ghost giggling and stuff like that. So he's just finally like, oh, I guess ghosts are real. So it's just kind of like, I guess that was kind of like his character arc for the whole thing, because he was kind of set up as just this asshole skeptic like the whole time. Phantom says Dead End Drive-In is a really underrated dystopian Australian film that I need to get. Yeah, we reviewed it like probably a long time ago. I don't love it, but it's pretty good. Like, it's definitely worth seeing, It's definitely worth seeing. Phantom said, I also just saw for the first time, 1985's Just One of the Guys, which was pretty enjoyable. Honestly, that movie was on cable all the fucking time back in the late 80s and 90s, and I must have seen it 100 times.
I don't remember it.
Yeah, it's the one about that, it's this high school girl, and she gets passed over for, I think it's like a journalist kind of thing, like for school, because she's a woman, and so she transfers to another school but pretends to be a dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just kind of like her experiencing like life as a dude, but then she ends up falling in love with a man, and like she has to tell him that she's a woman and all this other kind of stuff. It's actually like, you know, it was 1985, so there's some kind of problematic shit in there, but honestly, I remember it being pretty good natured.
Problematic shit makes the movie good, though.
But, well, I mean,
Problematic shit happens in real life.
Well, and the thing about it is, I really liked, I think the dude she ends up falling in love with is Clayton Rohner, who I always really liked. He was also in April Fool's Day, which is one of my favorite quasi-slashers from the 80s. That was 86 that came out. But yeah, so he was in that as well, I think. But I haven't seen that in a long time. You might like it, actually. Like I said, it's not, you know, it's a comedy.
Yeah.
But I always thought it was pretty cute. Although the thing about it is that she doesn't look...
She doesn't look like a dude.
Super boy. I mean, kind of. She looks like a really femmy boy. Yeah. Like, she cuts her hair real short. And because I think when she first starts out, she has, like, kind of long curly hair. But she cuts it, like, in a kind of boyish cut and stuff like that.
I'm going to go ahead and shut it down. I'm going to go down there and see if my package arrived.
you and your package.
Yeah,
all right. So we're gonna shut it down for the evening. So thank you very much, Phantom, for recommending this movie. This was another fun one.
Yeah, not bad.
Like I said, I think I liked the other one that we did better, but this one was pretty good too, and like a lot of really good acting in it. So hopefully you guys can come join us on Wednesday night. We are finally, I thought we'd already done a show about this, but I guess not. We're finally gonna do a show about the fucking Roswell incident. Because somebody asked me about it, and I was like, oh, surely we've already done a show about that. But I looked, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess we didn't. So I put it in the poll, and it won. So we're going to be talking about Roswell. And you guys know how much, like, Tom loves talking about aliens and UFOs and stuff like that. So that should be a really fun show. So that'll be on Wednesday night. So hopefully you guys can come and join us for that. Oh, and I also wanted to give a shout out to our newest patron, whose name is Ginger. So thank you very much, Ginger, for joining our Patreon. I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned that before I closed out the evening. So yeah, thanks everybody for hanging out with us this evening. Hopefully we'll see you guys again on Wednesday. Good night.